So the first item that I'm going to be bringing is a delicious chicken walnut sandwich. Now, what makes these so special is that I make them on a small, kind of a miniature croissant. And I'm not kidding, these are so good. I used to own a small catering business back in the day, and this was one of the things that I had on my menu. And I guarantee you, I made this several times a week for different people, and it was always super popular. They reordered, and it was just something people really like. So one of the ways that I cut down on my costs for this is that I use my home canned chicken. Now, if you don't have canned chicken that you've canned yourself, you can actually buy the canned chicken from, your local grocery store, or you can use a rotisserie chicken. If you cut everything up really fine, you could use chicken that you boil or bake or however you fix your chicken, but I've only ever used the canned chicken and it's always come out amazing. Something about having the canned chicken really changes the texture of the chicken, and it just makes it super flaky and delicious, and it mixes up really well. So let me show you all my secrets to this really successful dish. So one of the things that I found out when people say that they really don't like onion in some of their dishes, what they're really saying is that they don't want to bite into big chunks of onion. And you don't want an onion overpowering something like a chicken walnut sandwich. So what I do is I put a small amount of onion in. I actually put it through my food processor with a little bit of mayonnaise. And I just find that you then have a little bit of this onion flavor, but it's not going to overpower your dish, and you're not going to get big bites of onion. So all I'm going to do is take about a tablespoon of mayonnaise, and I'm going to take about a tablespoon of onions. Not a lot, just enough, like I said, to give it a little bit of flavor. I'm going to put it into my food processor and just give it a puree. Now I'm actually going to add a can of my chicken to this, and I'm going to show you how it's going to start looking. Now the first thing that you want to do is drain your chicken. You want to get all of that liquid off of your chicken. Now I'm going to put half of this chicken from this can, from this jar, into this food processor, just so that I can kind of mix it up and break up the onions even more. We'll leave about half of that. See how the onions are kind of hidden now? We're going to do this for a little while. I don't want to see any pieces of onion in this, at least any large pieces. All right. Now this is kind of like a chicken salad that you would get, like one of those spreadable chicken salads, but we're going to be adding more of our, heavy duty canned chicken, so you don't have to worry about it having this consistency. If you don't like this, no problem. All we did was try to blend up our onions and our mayonnaise a little bit. So I'm going to take this chicken salad and I'm just going to take it out of this food processor. Now, if you like this texture or this consistency, you can go ahead and make yours like this. I like mine with a little bit more of the chunky chicken in it. I don't really want to eat the whole sandwich with this kind of texture. But this is almost like the texture you would get when you add the mayonnaise. So if you're only using like half of a cup, it's perfect. All right, so now we're going to take the rest of our chicken, and I actually am using a couple of jars because I'm going to a pretty big event. But even if you did this with, say you did a half of a jar of chicken, maybe you have 2 cans. Maybe a quarter of a jar of the chicken you'll put through the food processor, and then the rest of it you'll put, in with your shredded chicken into your bowl. See already how it's changed the texture of not having that super creamy mixture? So I'm going to add a couple of jars of chicken. Let me get these in here. Now this is chicken I canned on sale for pennies a jar, literally pennies a jar. If you're interested in seeing that video, I'm going to link it right above. You feel free to watch that. If you do pressure canning and you're interested in canning up some chicken, this is a great recipe to do that. All right, so I want to make sure I at least get this kind of shredded up. And we're going to be adding some additional mayonnaise to this. So to every can of tuna, you're going to add about a fourth to a third of a cup of mayonnaise. I just keep putting mayonnaise in until I see the consistency that I like. So I don't put quite as much mayonnaise in as some people do. I don't want this loaded with mayonnaise, but I need my chicken to stick together. So this is 3 cans of chicken, so I'm hoping I can get by with about 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise for this recipe. So this looks like it's gonna be kind of spreadable. All right, maybe a little bit more. All right, I think this is gonna do it for me. Now let me show you all the things that I put in this. I'll show you how the magic happens. So this is the consistency I want. I want my chicken to hold together when I put it on the sandwich. I don't want it falling apart when people pick up their sandwich. So at this point, I have some apples that are sitting in about a teaspoon of salted water. Now, if you want to see how to make your apples so that they don't turn brown, I have a link to a short. It's called No More Brown Apples. I'm going to go ahead and link it above. And this is how I'm able to do this the day before. So I've got some apples soaking. I'm going to cut up some grapes. Those are going to go in, and walnuts. And let me show you the seasonings. This is just an amazing sandwich. So the first thing that I'm going to add are some seedless grapes. And I am just going to cut these into thirds, just like this. The small ones into halves. I need to save some of these for tomorrow. I'm making some little skewers for the kids with fruit and some peeps on them. So I'm going to go ahead and leave a few grapes. You know, I don't need to leave a ton. I'm not making that many skewers. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and put these right in my bowl with my chicken salad. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to add my seasonings. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of pepper in here. Not a lot, maybe 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to put a little bit of salt, same thing. This just a dash of salt. And one of the things that makes this dish is I put cinnamon. Cinnamon in my chicken salad. And this I'm going to add a liberal amount, maybe 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon, however much you like cinnamon. Now the other thing I'm going to add, I know you probably won't have them, but I have my herbs out of the garden that I've dehydrated. This is basil, rosemary, oregano, and thyme. It says mint, but it's thyme. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of those. Now, if you don't have those, you know, mixed up like that you've dehydrated, go ahead and use any dehydrated herbs that you have from the grocery store. So I'm going to add my grapes to this recipe. And the next thing I want to do is add my apples, but I don't want all this water from the apples. So I'm going to take some paper towels. And I'm going to dry these apples off. You don't have to rinse your apples. You're not going to have a salty taste to them. It's just going to keep them from turning brown. And believe me, this hack works so good. I do this when I want to take apples somewhere for the day, if I'm going somewhere to an event or whatever, and my apples don't turn color. All right, so I'm just going to throw these into the mix. Now the apples are going to be what gives your sandwich some real crunch. It's just going to be really delicious. Now I make my apples a little bit bigger. I want to make sure that you get plenty of apple in your chicken salad. But if you want them smaller, go right ahead. This is your salad. You do whatever you like. This is just how I do it for my sandwiches. All right, now the next thing we're gonna do is our walnuts. Now, if you're not a walnut fan, if you prefer almonds or macadamia nuts or pecans, whatever it is you like, you know, go ahead and put those together. And I'm actually, even though I have a little chicken on my food processor, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna run it through this little food processor again. And I wanna do this because I wanna chop these up a little bit more. And there you go, a couple walnuts that I've chopped up in my food processor. Don't want to lose any of this. And then we're just gonna stir all that together. Now again, if you like your walnuts bigger or smaller, you just get them to the consistency that you like. I really chop these up. I don't do it super fine, but kind of like the chopped walnuts that you would get in the bag at the grocery store. I buy my walnuts in bulk, and so I really always have them on hand. I love walnuts. I could eat them in all kinds of things. I especially like them in banana breads and things like that. So anyway, here's my chicken salad. I am actually gonna try a little taste of it just to make sure I've got the seasonings right. Okay, I'm just gonna give this a little try. Wow. Okay, let me go ahead and make up a little sandwich. I'll do a taste test for you and show you how this is going to work. All we're going to do is cut our croissant. Now these little croissants I got at Walmart, they're not cut. They're real easy to cut. Just use a serrated knife. And you could put lettuce on this. I don't, because I make it up ahead of time before I go to the event. So I am just going to add a little bit of this chicken mixture. And this is how I'll do it tomorrow. You see, these are nice and full. And then you put the little top on top of it, and it just makes the most wonderful display on a platter for sandwiches. So let me give this a taste test with the croissant, and I'll let you know how it came out. Wow. That is so good. I used one of these Cosmic Crisp apples. I've never had them before last week, and they are amazing. They're so crispy and sweet and delicious. They're just amazing. So anyway, I hope that you enjoy this. I hope that you will give it a try. I guarantee it's going to be a big hit at whatever event you take these to. They are delicious. People will be grabbing several of them, and you'll be the star of your party. So thanks for joining me. I hope that you will consider subscribing. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, give me a like or a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.